Many years ago, I spent the night in a dark forest alone up on a mountain with no flashlight, no fire to keep me warm, just myself and the darkness of the forest. I was sitting inside of a small circle that I'd made out of tobacco, and I stayed there all night. You see, I had always assumed growing up that by the time I was 20, somehow I would magically feel like a man. And even though I was legally an adult, that never happened. I still felt emotionally immature. I still didn't know who I was. I still didn't know what I stood for. And like a lot of young men, I was kind of confused what I was supposed to be doing, who I was supposed to be, what I even wanted out of life. But I was lucky because I had a community of men, some of whom had trained in traditional rites of passage. And so I ended up on a mountaintop. I remember the sun rising the next morning, hitting me, warming me up. And after dawn had passed, I prayed and I came down the mountain. And I remember reflecting that even on that walk down the mountain, I felt fundamentally changed. I felt like something had happened to where my childhood had been left behind. I felt stable and solid in who I was. I felt driven and I felt a sense of vision and purpose that I'd never had before in my life. So welcome to Questing 101, how to build your own rite of passage. I want to give this to you, and I'll start by saying this is not something I've ever publicly taught. This is the kind of thing that traditionally is done one-to-one or one-to-few. But in my interview recently with our host of this summit, Michael Skye, he teased out of me some of my old stories and my background, and I realized that there are millions of men who don't have the opportunity that I had for that kind of experience, that kind of training. And I think we can all agree that it's something fundamentally missing in our society, that there is a clear demarcation, right, between being a child and being an adult, between being a boy and being a man. You know, they say boys are born, men are trained. And we don't train our men, and therefore we end up with millions of men who feel and act a little bit like boys. You know, they aren't focused on duty, they're focused on desire. They're not focused on serving their tribe, they're focused on serving themselves. So let's not get distracted into all those problems. I want to stay focused with you on how can we actually, in a quick video, give you enough structure to where I can have you build for yourself a stripped down, very simple experience that you can go and have, and with enough intentionality that you can put into it, I believe you can have an experience which will be a revelation in your life, which will fundamentally make an adjustment in who you are. So let's get started. So I want to keep this pretty low on theory and high on practical advice for you. The first thing I want to say is everything I'm going to share with you is based on my opinion and my experiences. There are many other ways to do rites of passage. But what I do want to give you is the 7 core principles that I see across cultures that make up a really good, valuable, powerful rite of passage. Now, over the past few years, as the men's workspace has really expanded, which is an awesome thing, I've seen a lot of initiations and rites of passages training being offered. And let's be honest, something is always going to be better than nothing. But a long, difficult workout does not meet all the criteria of a full initiation, a full rite of passage. Doing deep men's work at a retreat, wonderful, vital stuff. But that isn't necessarily going to meet our criteria of a rite of passage. So we'll jump into that in a moment. But let's start here. Before we even begin talking, let's have an experience together. And this experience is going to open you up to some of the other things that I'm going to talk about. So if you are driving, this is not a good time to do this. What I recommend for our next exercise we're about to do is you find a quiet place where you can relax, where it's quiet. Grab a pen and paper if you want. This will take about 5 minutes. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Keep going. With each breath, connecting to your body, connecting to how your body feels, dropping down out of your head, into your heart, into your belly, into your balls, connecting deep inside of yourself with relaxation, with a sense of slowing down and being calm. Take a few more breaths. And then I want you to, with your eyes closed, picture yourself in a beautiful, relaxing, solitary, natural place. So maybe it's a mountaintop, the beach, a cornfield, a pine forest, wherever you feel that would be a natural, relaxing place where you can not only feel at home, but where you can feel powerful and connect with deep wisdom. So go there. Once you're there, I want you to start to look around the environment. What do you see over to your left? What do you see to your right? What do you see in the distance? What do you hear? What are the sounds of the environment? Can you feel the air or the sun on your skin? What do you feel? How does this place make you feel? Keep looking around and noticing more detail. I want you to start walking and exploring, going forward, until you find a place that is the right place to be. You'll know when you're there. When you find that place, just stand still. Relax. Feel what that place feels like. And in the distance, you see someone coming. That someone is you, but you magnified 1,000-fold. The full, unshackled, powerful version of yourself. Maybe bigger and taller, maybe wearing burnished armor that shines in the light, walking towards you. You feel intimidated, but you also feel like this is a part of you you want to meet. Notice how he walks. Notice the expression on his face. Notice how he carries himself. And eventually he stands in front of you, and there's a moment of connection. And I want you to ask him this question, this very simple question. I want you to ask this fully empowered version of yourself, what is it that I need to learn to become a better man? Once you ask that question, open your eyes, pause this video, and write down the answer. Good work. Well done. There's a couple of reasons I want to do that exercise with you right now. I'll tell you what they are. Number one, I want you to understand that there is deep wisdom inside of you. There's an entire landscape of meaning and characters and learnings deep inside of you. And what we want to do is begin to unlock those. Here's the other part. Every person watching this video who just did that experience, who just did that exercise, here's the magic. Everyone had a totally different experience. Everyone was in a different place that looked different, that smelled different, that felt different. Everyone met a different version of themselves, and everyone got a unique answer to that question. This is important because on Quest, every single person has their own experiences, but more importantly, those experiences have extremely personal meanings. So you can't ever allow anyone else to tell you what it means. What it means to you is the most important thing. So with that said, let's jump into some of the important pieces of building your own initiation process. So every quest, every initiation has these 7 factors. The first one is always, always, always what I call a ceremonial approach. Now, in the West, we don't often have a good definition of what a ceremony is. It often just means something that's formal. For other cultures, it means that there is reverence, that there is a sense of something bigger than us, that we are humble and that we are listening and that we are acting in a way which is almost religious without the religion. You can have religion if you want. So, I'll give you a couple of examples. In traditional martial arts, at the very beginning of class, everyone sits and goes into meditation and then bows. Sometimes there's a prayer at the start of class. Sometimes there's a clap. What that does is it opens class, but it really opens ceremony. Because in traditional martial arts, in the dojo, your hour or 2 hours of training is ceremony. It is bracketed from everything that comes before or afterwards so that everyone is very focused only in the moment. That's ceremony. When we build a sweat lodge, for example, even from the very beginning when we go out and harvest willows, we smudge ourselves beforehand. On the drive out to the location where we're looking for willows, there's no music, there's no talking, maybe a little bit of, just jovial laughter, but it's very quiet. We smudge ourselves. When we go to make a cut on a willow, we put pollen where we're making the cut to bless the cut. And we cut 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around to the 4 directions. Everything is done very precisely with reverence. And that is what I mean by ceremony. So if you want to learn what it feels like to be in ceremony, there's a very simple children's exercise that I'll give to you. If you get 4 rocks, just like little river pebbles, go outside, sit down, take a few deep breaths. Put the rocks in front of you, and then stack them slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stack them. And then move clockwise to the 90-degree point. If you start in the east, you move to the south. Take 1 rock, put it down. Take the second rock from the top, put it on the rock you just moved. Take the next rock, move it on top, and the next one, until you have another stack of 4 rocks in the next direction. And you can go round and round and round your circle. But here's what you do. You do it slowly. You do it quietly. You do it with slow breathing. You do it with almost sleepy eyes. And you become absorbed into doing it perfectly. If you do that experience, if you do that exercise, and you move the rocks a few loops around you with total concentration, with total reverence, you're beginning to understand what it means to have a ceremonial approach to a rite of passage. The second pillar that is traditionally in place for a rite of passage is that the rite of passage, the experience, takes place outside of ordinary reality. Bear with me. What is ordinary reality? Ordinary reality is our everyday life. Waking up, looking at our phone, brushing our teeth, tying our shoelaces, driving our car, having our coffee, putting in our computer password, playing on social media, hanging out with friends or your partner, just the daily stuff. That is ordinary reality for our purposes. If you want to learn more about this concept, I do recommend some of the books by Carlos Castaneda. They cover a lot of ground around this. They will open up your mind to a lot of cool stuff. Non-ordinary reality is stepping outside of that bubble into something new. So there's a reason we want to be able to access non-ordinary reality, and it's this. When you go on your quest, we want to escape the bubble of the ordinary world, pierce past it, so that all that exists for us is ourselves and the totality of our being. The place where you are, the nature around you, the sun in the sky, the moon in the sky, God, creator above, the spiritual essence of where we are. That's what we want to be in. So we have to leave behind everything else. How do we do that? So one of the keys to navigating non-ordinary reality is that in that space, everything has a meaning. Just like the meditation we did a few minutes ago, everything that you saw there has a meaning for you, and it's unique to you. So when we're in non-ordinary reality, we pay a lot of attention to what's happening around us. If I'm in the middle of saying something and an owl hoots, what does that mean? If I'm having a thought and suddenly the wind hits me strongly in the face, what does that mean? If we're doing something and the sun goes behind a dark cloud and it gets dark, what does that mean? So the search for meaning is a huge part of being in non-ordinary reality. If you can go deep into this openness of everything has a meaning, everything is connected, what is it for me? Combined with that ceremonial approach, being very relaxed, slowing your heart rate and your breathing down, you're going to enter this space. Now, there are other ways to get there. There's plant medicine, there's alcohol, there's jumping out of a plane. There's all kinds of ways to get yourself into a different reality. But I don't want you to use the plant medicine or the alcohol. I want you to learn how to do it without. That is such a powerful skill. You can add those things in later if you want, but let's keep this experience, this quest, clean. Let's keep all the influences of other plants and drugs out of it, just you. So spend a lot of time meditating. Spend a lot of time in nature. Spend a lot of time sitting quietly and just noticing what is happening around you. I have found that for the majority of Western men, we're so high speed, we're so technological, it takes a bit of work to slow down enough to really begin to notice. But if you can, I promise you that skill will serve you for the rest of your life. You will notice connections that no one else sees, and it will give you unique perspectives. The third pillar of a traditional rite of passage is having a guide, having a mentor. I was very lucky I did. Most of you will not have that, or you wouldn't be watching this video. So here's the thing. If we're missing some of these pillars, what do we have to do? It's simple. We have to make the pillars that we do have twice as strong, twice as robust. So if you don't have a guide, you'd better get really good, really deep into your ceremonial approach. That's how we're going to streamline this thing for you. Why have a guide? Well, number one, to tell you what to do. Number two, to prepare you and train you for this next step in your voyage. And number three, to debrief you when you come back to society. If you don't have that, it's okay. You can still make this work. Something that might be powerful, if you have a close friend, a brother who you trust and have a deep connection with, and they also are interested in questing, you could do this somewhat together. Don't quest together. Don't quest at the same time. What I would recommend is that you flip a coin. One of you goes first, and the other holds space at the base of the mountain, let's say. So you're going to go up, come back, and you'll be able to debrief a little bit with that first person. If you do this, don't debrief them too much because you can steal from them their own experience by sharing too much of yours. So what I would encourage you to do is then a week or two later, this other person, they can go quest in the same way. And then they can come back and you can hold space at the base of the mountain for them. And then there are two of you who've had experiences. And now you guys can really debrief together. You can really connect and explore each other's experience, share some wisdom. I think that's a beautiful way to do it. If you have that, awesome. If you don't, we make the best of what we got, brother. We make it happen anyway, right? Pillar number 4, physical risk. There are tribes in Africa who used to send boys out to kill a lion. Why? Why kill a lion? Because it's the apex predator, and when you kill it, what do you become? The apex predator. Traditionally, it would be believed that, if you ate the heart of your kill, you would gain the courage and the spiritual power of that kill. And there's a lot to that. The reason fundamentally that is a experience given to some young African men is that it's dangerous, is that there is a risk of failure, there is a risk of death, there is a risk that your bid to become a man can be rejected by the universe and you never get there because you die. So most quests have a layer of physical risk or physical pain, sometimes both. The physical risk for you is going to be remoteness. But I want you to balance the risk. Let me say this. If you do this and die, you did it wrong. I don't want that for you. That's on you. I'm just giving you some ideas. What you do with this video, what you do with this content, I have to tell you, that is on you. You're your own man. But you want a little bit of remoteness. So don't do this in the backyard. Don't do this in the municipal park. Do this somewhere a little bit remote. Don't be interrupted by 100 other hikers. Don't be interrupted by other people camping. Go somewhere a little remote. But we manage the risk. It is best to have someone at base camp waiting for you to come back, so that if you don't, if you're injured or something, they know approximately where in the world to look for you. If you don't have that, at least let people know approximately where you're going. Or when you get close, send someone a pin from your phone so they know where you're at. And if you don't check in a day or two, they can send help. So we want to mitigate risk, but we don't want to remove it. I want you to go up with a little bit of fear, a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of, man, I'm kind of up here on my own. That is a fundamental and vital part of what we're doing. Pillar number 5, separation from society. As boys, we are attached to our mothers, our fathers, our communities. We're raised by them, right? It takes a village to raise a child. As a man, you have to be able to operate alone. Being a man is very lonely. You must be able to operate without support from others. So it is vital that for a quest, the boy is sent off into the wilderness, cut off, divorced, separated from his community. He must feel alone. He must quest alone. So that separation, in some societies, there might be the entire tribe getting together to wave the boy goodbye. There might be almost a mourning, a sense of mourning, a sense of almost like a funeral from the mother traditionally, because her little boy who she's birthed and loved and raised, that boy is dying. He is never coming back. He's either dying out there or a new man is coming back. And the man's relationship with his mother is fundamentally different from a boy's relationship with his mother. So there's a sense of mourning. For us in our culture, we don't have these traditions, so it's most likely no one else will understand what's going on. But you can work your way around this a little bit. Before you leave, say goodbye. Call your parents. Say goodbye to your loved ones. Not in a way that makes them afraid, but in a way that you express how you feel and give some gratitude for raising you. You can let them know you're going up in the mountains to think about your life and how to become a better man. Don't scare them, but there's a way that you can say you love them and thank you in a way that has a little bit of power and finality to it. That would be a wise thing. You could write a letter to them if you don't want to say anything. In the letter, you would think about your childhood and the gifts and the lessons. By the way, some lessons are beautiful, some lessons are fucking painful. Some lessons we wish we'd never ever had. They're still lessons. They still have value. You can still be grateful for them. So we want to separate from society. We want to say goodbye. The sixth pillar is quest. And we'll get to that. That is going to the middle of nowhere and finding a place to sit and wait. We're going to come back to that. The seventh pillar is return to society. Now, again, traditionally, there might be a feast and a welcoming party and all of these things as the new man comes back to his tribe. Guess what? We probably don't get to have that. Just the way it is, boys. But you will return to society, and when you do, come back with a sense of immediately beginning to integrate the changes. If you have made a cut on the previous period, if you've made a cut on your childhood, as soon as you come back to society, you must begin to integrate and act in integrity with that new vision of who you are. And that will quickly have the effect that people will begin to treat you differently. Here's the magic. When you see yourself differently, when you treat yourself differently, when you build your boundaries more strongly, when you respect yourself more deeply, it's like a magic spell that the rest of the world suddenly acts like they knew about it and they start treating you differently. That's really the goal of this whole thing. So those are the 7 fundamental pillars of an initiation or a rite of passage. Think about those, and then let's start talking about what you can do practically to begin to build your own. So finally, let's talk about quest. First things first, you're not questing tomorrow. This is a process. I want you to quest in a month or 2, depending on the season, depending on the weather. Before then, I want you to practice your meditation. I want you to practice your breathing. I want you to connect with yourself. I want you to think back on powerful moments in your life. You can journal about them if you want. What happened? What did I learn? What did it mean to me? How will I apply that lesson powerfully in my life? So we're reflecting back on the past. If you're not in good shape, use this time to get in good shape. Walk every day, run every day, clean up your diet, put some muscle on, whatever it takes. You don't have to be an athlete, but clean up yourself. Clean up your body, clean up your blood, clean up your breath through deep breathing, clean up your skin. Just be healthy. Start to live a life before you quest that's a little more ceremonial. Maybe less video games, definitely less video games, less distractions. Eat clean, live quietly. Live almost like a monk if you can. So become a little less engaged with the world and a little bit more engaged with your inner self. If you have responsibilities, still meet them, of course, but begin to quieten down your world, and that will really set you up powerfully for when you go quest. During this time, I want you to start figuring out where the right place for you to go is. Like I say, you want to find a place which has some natural power, a place which is higher up is better. So I love going up in the mountains. Somewhere quiet. If it's hunting season, be careful. Go somewhere safe, but somewhere that's going to be a place you can have to yourself. Start thinking about where that might be. If you want to take some trips, go on some drives, do some hiking, start to scout around a little bit. Or you may know somewhere near you that's perfect. You want to get some supplies together. Obviously, you probably want to have a camelback with enough water for 24 hours or so. If you're in a desert environment, maybe take more. I want you to get a nice pouch of tobacco. You can get them at most cigar places or places that sell tobacco. Go there, get a nice pouch, good quality tobacco. I also recommend you try to find some cattail pollen, but if you can, that's a little more that's difficult to get hold of. Get yourself a container of rock salt. That would really serve you well. So then, a few days before you go on your little trip, I want you to start dialing back your food. So you're going to have a day where you eat 3 meals as usual. The next day, you're going to eat 2 meals. The final day, you're going to eat 1 meal. The day you leave on your quest, no food. Plenty of water, no food. Make sure you're okay to fast for a couple of days. Don't get yourself into trouble here. But if you can, no food that day. Really be in ceremony throughout that morning. Traditionally, there would be a sweat lodge. You probably don't have that. A good thing to do might be to go just the sauna at your gym or just go for a long walk or jog. Get yourself really centered. You're going to drive up to wherever your location is. You're going to take your water, your tobacco, your pollen or rock salt. You can take a knife. Don't take guns. Don't take anything else. Just go up there simple. You don't need a sleeping bag, depending on environment and weather. Just yourself and your basics. Get out of your car, get your stuff. I want you to get some sage and just sage yourself, clean yourself off spiritually, and then start hiking up the mountain. Start running up the mountain if you want, or wherever your environment is. Get away from the noise, and if you can, head up. And you're looking for something. There is going to be a place which is your quest place. I'll say that again. There is going to be a place that is your quest place. Your job is to find it. Your job is to trust yourself that when you see it, you'll know. And you will know. You're going to find a place that feels a little different, looks a little different, calls to you in some way. You're going to see it. Depending on how much you trust yourself, you might still have a little doubt, but you're going to know. So go to your place and be there. Claim that place for yourself for the night. Now then, within that place, we need to prepare a small area where we're going to spend the night. So I want you to gather up 4 rocks. 4 nice-sized rocks. The 4 rocks you like the most. What you're going to do is you're going to place the first one ceremonially in the east. The east is the direction of the rising sun. It's where the day starts. You're going to take the next one and put it in the south. The south is the direction of the apex of the sun. You're going to take that third rock and place it in the west, where the sun goes down. And then you're going to take that last rock and place it in the north, the direction of darkness. These cycles are very important. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to make a circle with those 4 rocks as the 4 points of the circle. Now, this circle, we want it to be about 5 or 6 feet wide, 5 or 6 feet in diameter, enough to move around in a little bit, just about enough to lay down, although I don't want you sleeping all night. But you're going to build this circle with the 4 rocks at the 4 corners, and then we're going to take that tobacco and make a circle, starting at the east, going clockwise all the way around, making a circle. Then we're going to take our cattail pollen or that rock salt, and again, we're going to, with our intention, make a circle, make a barrier, clockwise around. This is going to be our quest circle. So during the daylight, I don't necessarily think you have to be in there, but don't leave your area. Find a place to pee, find a place to put your stuff down. Get relaxed. While the sun's still up, what I want you to do is sit, relax, meditate, listen to the space, and begin to think about what it is that you want to get out of this experience. Get focused. Now, of course, you're still fasting, so there's no need to eat. Make sure you stay well hydrated. Once the sun starts to go down, I want you to stare at the sun. One of the things you can do is bring your hands up like a triangle and look at the sun through your hands. You can bring the sun to the tip of the triangle. That'll make it easier to look at. And I just want you to connect with the sun going down. The sun is going down on your last day as a boy. The sun is going down on your final day in this phase of your existence. And when the sun comes up, things will be different. So I want you to honor the going down of the sun. This is the reverence. This is the ceremony. This is the beginning to enter into non-ordinary reality. You'll be in your circle by now, and the sun will go down, and you can light a small fire if you want. You don't really need it. I want you to stay in that circle all night, awake. I want you to meditate. I want you to pray. I want you to think about life. And most of all, I want you to pay attention to everything happening inside of yourself and everything happening in the world around you. Are there birds calling? Is there wind in the trees? Are the trees making noises? What is going on? I want you to stay in that circle. No matter what happens, stay in that circle. If you've properly blessed that circle, it's a safe space. Stay in it. Stay there and pray and meditate and pay attention all the way through the long vigil of the night until the sun comes up. When the sun comes up, greet the sun, greet the new day with an open heart, with open eyes, with open ears. That might be a great time to make some declarations about who you are now, about what you've left behind, about what you stand for, about what you want out of life, about what your vision for life is. Knocking my microphone around here. I'm so excited for you. So greet the rising sun, greet the new day, greet the first light of your new existence. And then stay in the circle a little longer. There's no need to come out yet. You'll know when you're cooked. You'll know when you're done. It might be first thing in the morning, you're ready. It might be you want to stay there for a few hours. When you're done, I want you to take a stick. You should have a stick in your circle. If you don't, use your hand. And I want you to cut between each of those four rocks. There's part of the circle, right? Each quarter. I want you to cut each of the quarters by breaking the line of tobacco and salt or whatever else you have. I want you to cut your circle. As soon as you cut the circle, you become reconnected to the world. In the circle, we're in a different bubble. We cut the circle, we step out of the circle, and we begin a new life. Walk down that mountain. Feel like yourself. Feel the new power flowing through you. Feel the ability and the confidence in your ability to protect, provide, stand for what you believe in, live a life of purpose. And then as a man, go make a big fucking difference in the world. It's pretty much all I got for you. I will say one thing. There's a great movie you might want to watch. It's a 1985 movie called The Emerald Forest. It's about a boy who's kidnapped by a tribe in the Amazon. He's raised in their ways, and there's a beautiful scene where he goes through his manhood rite of passage. You'll see all the elements that I've described, the ceremonial approach, being outside normal reality, having a guide, having physical risk and pain, the separation from society, his mother mourning the death of her boy, the quest, and the return to society. It's a beautiful movie, The Emerald Forest. Go watch it before you quest. I think that will give you a really beautiful perspective. All I have to say is, this is for you. Good luck. Be safe. Make it count. And if I can be of service in some way, I would love to. If you do this and you get something valuable out of it, write me an email, write me a message on social media. Let me know how it went. Peace and power.